Hi, Virgo Sun and Rising. Welcome to your January 2025 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So I'm recording this in December, just to let you know. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because we have what's called a black moon that is occurring on the 30th of December. So it's right before the new year. And it's at 9 degrees of Capricorn. And the black moon is the second new moon in a month, kind of like the blue moon is for full moons. And it's supposed to be a great time for manifestation. Um, you know, at least putting out the planting the seeds for that to happen. Let's put it that way. And for Virgo, this is occurring in your fifth house, which is the house of love and creativity. So that could be very fertile ground for any kind of creative project, or if you've had like a love interest come into your life or have been wanting one, then that's great too. So on the second of the month, Venus, which is connected to love, goes into Pisces, which is, Venus is exalted in Pisces. And this is your opposite house. This is the house of relationships, which Venus rules in astrology under the sign of Libra. So that's very romantic. And Venus can bring harmony to a house, and in this case can bring harmony to your relationships. Now it's important to note that this is not the only planet that is transiting your seventh house. Neptune has been here for years, since 2011. Saturn has been here for almost 2 years. Neptune and Saturn couldn't be more different in how they, affect a chart or a house. Neptune is very idealistic, and it can be about really wanting to find your soulmate. Not just a mate, but your soulmate, because it has that spiritual connotation and has like past life connotation too. With Saturn, it can be about, okay, the person who is steady, who is disciplined, or, all of those things that we're talking about, or even having that attitude of discipline or maturity when it comes to picking a mate. So with Venus here, and you also you've been having, started having eclipses here back in September. You had a lunar eclipse here. So you are having a lot of important transits in this sector. So Venus here could really seal the deal for some people. Where it's like, I am in love, and do I commit to this person? Saturn would say yes. And now that Saturn is direct, maybe even more so. On the 3rd, Mercury comes out of its shadow. This is your ruler, Virgo. And it comes out in the sign of Sagittarius, which is your 4th house of home and family. So if you had any kind of falling out or misunderstanding with your mom, or some people say 4th house is a dad, this may be the final piece needed to bring things back up to speed. But this could be especially for real estate matters. If there was some kind of snafu, you made a deal and then something got misunderstood, and now you're able to fully move forward. Or maybe it's not buying a house, maybe it's selling a house. On the 6th, Mars goes back into Cancer. So Mars was in your 12th house of Leo. Now it is going back into the 11th house of Cancer. This forms a friendly angle to you called a sextile. The 6th house. The 11th house is the house of friendships and groups, but also gains, meaning the money that you earn, your profits from your career or your business that you own. This can be a house of friendships, but also groups that you belong to. And Mars retrograde here can be, it can be, I feel like it can be something connected to your, you having your natal Neptune in the 11th house and having that idealism and knowing that, now that I think about it too, knowing that you have this part of yourself that wants to coexist in a group and it being this ideal experience, but the 12th house being solitude. So if you're the kind of person who maybe does go to retreats or, or ashrams or some places where there's a lot of opportunity to spend time in meditation, maybe alone, maybe silent retreats and things like that. It's like do I want to do it this way or the other way? And maybe, retracing your steps with something that is group oriented versus solitude. Again, because in your natal chart you have a square between Mars and Neptune, you may find in your life, and this may have been a theme for you, Peter, thus far, that you are always looking for that next peak experience. And, I'm not saying that there aren't, that's what I kind of lost my train of thought before, but what I was trying to say is that there are peak experiences in life, but I feel like a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but some people don't know that the peak experiences they might be few and far between. And that's not a depressing thought because, the everyday moments, the mundane side of life, if people can be okay with that and be at peace with that, then they're going to be fine. But it's the people that think that life is boring if it's not exciting always, one exciting thing after the other, one peak experience after the other. Those people might have unrealistic expectations about life, and then they might be prone to escapist tendencies because it's almost like they think they're doing life wrong in some way because they're not, because we're always told about what happiness is, but I always say that it's about peace of mind. It's about feeling like, you're not constantly in this state of dissatisfaction. Because to me, that can be very, I was going to say haunting or otherwise not very satisfactory. On the 8th, Mercury goes into Capricorn. So now we're looking at your 5th house. Now remember that I said that that new moon, that black moon at the end of 2024 was or is going to be in Capricorn. Now Mercury is there. And Mercury is really late going into the sign of Capricorn, but it's doing so because the retrograde slowed it down. You're going to find that it's really speeding up because it's going to go into Aquarius with it before the month is out. So that's pretty wild. It's in 3 signs in 1 month. So with Mercury in the fifth house, this can be a time of talking to some love interest. It could be because the fifth house can be your pleasurable or entertainment type of activities, or any kind of things like hobbies or things that you find pleasurable or fun. Mercury is more the fun that is connected to the mind, connected to communication. So going to the theater. For some Virgos who are creative, and because you're ruled by Mercury, you might be a writer and you're doing some of that writing. Maybe that is one of your hobbies anyway, and that's what you're doing. But you could be, like I said, talking to a potential love interest. On the 13th, we have a full moon at 24 Cancer, and Mars is engaged here. It's in conjunction with this full moon. This is in the 11th house. It's very important to pay attention to the full moon, how it affects you emotionally, because it will be an emotional full moon by virtue of it being the full moon, but also in Cancer, a water sign. And this is going to be in that sector of friendships and groups. I do feel that it is possible for Virgo people to perhaps get some kind of bonus, monetary gain from this. But it could be, if there are other factors that are supporting it, it might be something where a person is maybe like abruptly leaving their quitting their job or career. I'm talking about 10th house. And they are going to, maybe that is something that is ending for them, some source of income. But this can even be with friendships, Maybe you have felt out of sorts with friends and you've called a truce. And, sometimes it might even be more of a group that you belong to, because I could see like being at odds with a group, but it could, might be a particular friend. And then you just abruptly like call it quits because you feel maybe attacked by that person. Mars retrograde can be covert hostility, like you're angry at them, but you feel like you can't actually say anything about it, and that makes you even more like, passive aggressive and that sort of thing. And especially in Cancer, that is definitely, Cancer is like the master of passive aggression. But anyway, yeah, I would just say be very mindful about how this can make people act on emotion, and there could be blowback, because especially since Mars is retrograde. On the 19th, the sun goes into Aquarius. So we're starting to get these sixth house influences. The 19th, the sun goes there. The 27th, Mercury goes in there. So that could be if you're looking for work, you're talking to potential employers, you're sending out resumes. And on the 29th, we have a new moon at 9 degrees of Aquarius in this sector. So that could be when you see the results of some of these actions. And so maybe you get a new job. Maybe you're going to have a new daily routine, which is a sixth house. Like you used to get up in the morning or you used to work in the morning, 9 to 5. Now you're working 12 to 8 or something. So you have like a different shift. Or who knows, for some Virgos, you might be working different hours. They're unpredictable. On the 30th, Uranus turns direct at 23 degrees of Taurus. Uranus in, Taurus for you is the ninth house, which is the house of long distance travel, the house of the higher mind. Uranus can really be about, because long distance travel plus Uranus's technology could be the digital nomad. So maybe there are some Virgo people who have been doing that sort of work, but perhaps it is something that is not necessarily well, I don't want to say it's not necessarily what you're into, but it could be. I mean, it could be something that is more to give you that freedom that you might be looking for, if that's something that has felt like what you wanted. I mean, you have, I want to go back to that sun, or even, Mercury too, because at this time, Pluto is at 1 degree of Aquarius. Pluto is going to be in your sixth house of work for the next 20 years. And that can empower you, especially since there is a conjunction between the sun in Aquarius, Sun Pluto conjunction in Aquarius on the 19th, and then Mercury on the 27th, which may make you feel much more like you have control over your destiny, because you rule the sixth house in astrology, Virgo. So this is your domain and your expertise, but you're also a sign that I think of, as the opposite sign of Pisces. I do think that there are some similarities between these two signs, and part of it is wanting to be help, be of assistance and help to other people, and maybe being taken advantage of by others who can sense your selfless nature, your helpful nature, and your efficiency, you have that kind of talent that they might be looking for, and hardworking. But, it is important to gauge these things, because you don't want to be taken advantage of. And so these issues may come into play because Uranus can give you that sense of autonomy in terms of maybe like traveling and anything that you do. That's why I'm going to say working remotely gives you that sense of more freedom. So that's what I have for you, Virgo. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below for all the types of readings. I have various types of readings. I have double readings that are special package deals. And thank you for listening. Happy New Year. Take care. Bye.